Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that doesn't get addressed enough, in my opinion, in spiritual communities, and that's grief. Real, honest, messy, painful grief, and how we hold both our spiritual understanding and our very human heartbreak at the same time. I still miss my grandma every day, and she passed away more than a decade ago. I still feel her love. I can see her smile. I remember her hugs. Some days I even cry thinking about her. And as bad as it may sound, she's the first person that I grieved more than I grieved the dogs that I've lost over the years. And I know that might sound bad to some people, but love is love and loss is loss. And where I didn't love my dogs more than some of those people that I lost, my dogs were part of my everyday life, and they weren't. And my grandma, we might not have seen each other every day, but she was still woven into the fabric of my daily life. I thought of her all the time. I did see her daily for many years at various points, and I always had her close to my heart. So the grief I feel for my grandma, that I feel for the dogs that I've lost, and for any other losses I've experienced, it's all real. It's all valid. And here's the thing. Every bit of pain and grief that I've experienced since my grandma died, since those dogs died, is nothing compared to the love and joy that we shared. It's a choice that I would make 1,000 times over. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not how to get over grief, not how to spiritually bypass it and ignore our pain and with platitudes and magical thinking and, everything happens for a reason or they're in a better place. But how do we hold both truths at once? I am spiritually connected to the eternal and I am heartbroken. All is well at the deepest level and I'm devastated. Life is eternal and I miss them so much I can barely breathe sometimes. Because here's what I've learned. Spiritual practice does not bypass pain. It holds us through it. And being sad, being angry, grieving deeply, none of that means you're not spiritual. It means you're fully human and fully spiritual. It means you loved, and love doesn't end just because the physical form does. Let's start with what Unity teaches about the nature of life and death, because this matters. Unity teaches that life is eternal. We are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Death is not an ending, but simply a transition. That the essential nature of who we are, consciousness, spirit, divine essence, cannot be destroyed. I believe all of that deeply. It's not just intellectual belief, it's spiritual knowing. And I also know that my grandma is not here to hug me. Those dogs are not here to greet me at the door. The physical presence I loved, the specific way they showed up in the world, the unique expression of spirit they embodied, that's gone from my daily experience, and that loss is real. Both things are true. Life is eternal, and I miss their physical presence. They continue in spirit, and I grieve the loss of their body, their voice, their laugh, their particular way of being in the world. Unity Principle 5 teaches us that we live the truth we know, but living spiritual truth doesn't mean pretending we don't hurt. It doesn't mean putting on a brave face and saying, I'm fine. They're in a better place. It means bringing our whole selves, including our grief or anger or confusion, to our spiritual practice. It means letting divine presence hold us in our pain, not demanding that we rise above it. Jesus wept when Lazarus died. Jesus, who knew he was about to raise Lazarus from the dead, who understood the eternal nature of life better than any. He wept. He didn't spiritually bypass his grief with, well, death is an illusion. He felt the pain of loss and let himself weep. If Jesus could grieve while knowing spiritual truth, so can we. In fact, maybe that is what it means to be fully spiritual, to feel everything, to let ourselves be fully human while also maintaining our connection to something larger. There's a beautiful verse in Romans 12:15 that says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Not remind those who mourn that everything happens for a reason. Not tell those who grieve to think positive thoughts. Mourn with those who mourn. Be present to pain. Don't try to fix it or spiritualize it away." I've been on both sides of this. I've been the person grieving who had well-meaning spiritual people say things that hurt more than they helped. And I've been the person who didn't know what to say in the face of someone that was in pain. And I never know if it's better to reach for spiritual platitudes because at least it's something to say, or just be quiet. So let's talk about what doesn't help when someone is grieving, because I think we need to be honest about this. It took me quite a while to piece this together. Everything happens for a reason. This is true at some cosmic level, but when someone is fresh in grief, this sounds like you're saying their pain has a purpose, that somehow this loss was meant to be there, that there's a lesson they're supposed to learn, and it is not comforting. It's dismissive of their pain. They're in a better place. Again, this might be spiritually true, but the person grieving isn't worried about where their loved one is. They're devastated by the absence. They don't want their loved one in a better place. They want them here. God needed another angel. No. Just no. This makes God sound like a cosmic kidnapper who steals the people we love because heaven was short-staffed. This is not helpful theology. At least they're not suffering anymore. Even if this is true, it doesn't erase the griever's suffering. It's not a competition. The fact that the person who died isn't in pain anymore doesn't make the pain of missing them any less real. You're so strong. Well, sometimes people don't want to be strong. Sometimes they want permission to fall apart. Telling someone they're strong can feel like pressure to hold it together, to not burden others with their grief. Time heals all wounds. Well, that might be true with a cut, but time doesn't heal grief. Time changes our relationship to it. The wound of loss doesn't close. We grow around it. We learn to carry it, but it doesn't go away. All of these statements, however well intended, try to make grief smaller, more manageable, less uncomfortable. But grief doesn't want to be managed. Grief wants to be witnessed. Grief wants to be held. Grief wants permission to exist without being fixed or rushed or swept under the rug. So what does help? What can we do for someone who's grieving? Presence. Just being there. Sitting with them in their pain without trying to make it better. Saying, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. That's honest. That's real. And it honors the magnitude of their loss. Practical help. Grief is exhausting. People in deep grief often can't think straight, can't remember to eat, can't handle the logistics of daily life. Bring food. Many people talk about grief eating, but not many talk about grief cooking. And offer to walk their dogs or do their laundry or handle phone calls. These concrete acts of service can be more valuable than any words. And give permission to feel whatever they're feeling. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay if you're not okay. People experiencing grief often feel pressure to be okay, to be strong, to move through their grief in some acceptable timeline. Permission to feel what they actually feel is a gift. And continue showing up. Most people show up for the first few weeks after a loss, but grief doesn't follow a schedule. It tends to be cyclical. Sometimes the hardest part comes months later when everyone else has moved on and the griever is still drowning. Keep checking in, keep showing up, keep making space for their grief, even when it no longer feels fresh. Saying the person's name can be helpful. Many people avoid mentioning the person who died because they don't want to make the griever sad, but the griever's already sad. Hearing their loved one's name, sharing memories, talking about the person they lost, this is often a comfort, not a pain. It says your loved one mattered. I remember them. They haven't been forgotten. And here's something I wish more people understood. You don't need to have the right words. It's something I wish I had understood sooner. You don't need to make it better. You can't. What grieving people need is not solutions or silver linings or spiritual platitudes that explain away their pain. They need someone to sit with them in the dark and not be afraid of their tears. Now let's talk about what it means to grieve while maintaining spiritual practice, because this is where it gets nuanced. Unity Principle 1 teaches that God is absolute good, everywhere present. Does that mean God is present in our grief? Yes. Does it mean our grief is good? That might not be the right question. Grief isn't good or bad. It's human. It's the natural response to love and loss. And God is present in it, not as a lesson or a test, but as the ground that holds us when we can't hold ourselves. Unity Principle 2 teaches that we are spiritual beings created in God's image. Our divine nature is eternal, indestructible, always connected to Source. Does that mean we shouldn't feel pain when we lose someone? No, it means even in our pain, even in our grief, even when we feel broken and lost, our essential nature remains whole. Both are true. We are grieving and we are divine. Unity Principle 3 teaches that our thoughts create our experience. Does that mean if we're grieving, we're thinking wrong thoughts? Absolutely not. Our thoughts don't create the death of someone we love. Our thoughts don't make grief appear or disappear. What our thoughts can do is create additional suffering on top of grief. Suffering about whether we're grieving right, whether we should be over it by now, whether we've been spiritual enough. We can think ourselves into shame and judgment, or we can offer ourselves compassion. Unity Principle 4 teaches that through prayer and meditation we align with God. Does that mean we should pray our grief away? No. It means we can bring our grief to our prayer practice. We can meditate, not to escape our pain, but to create space to feel it fully. Prayer and meditation become containers for our grief, safe spaces to fall apart, to rage, to weep, to be held by something larger than ourselves. Unity Principle 5 teaches that we live the truth we know. The truth is, love is eternal. The truth is also this: loss hurts. Living what we know means honoring both truths. It means not using spiritual understanding to bypass the human experience. It means being fully present to our grief while also trusting that something larger holds us. There's a concept in psychology called both and thinking that I think is crucial for grief. Our culture tends to be very either or. Either you're sad or you're spiritual. Either you're grieving or you're okay. Either you believe in eternal life or you feel devastated by death. But grief requires both and. I can believe my grandma's spirit is eternal. I can know her spirit is eternal and miss her physical presence. I can know my dogs are released from their aging bodies and grieve that they're not here with me. I can trust in divine goodness and feel angry about my loss. I can be spiritual and heartbroken. Both and, not either or. This is what it means to be human and divine at the same time. We don't have to choose. We don't have to be only spiritual or only human. We are both, always, and grief is one of the places where that truth becomes most clear. I want to talk about something else, something that doesn't get discussed enough: complicated grief. grief for relationships that were difficult, grief mixed with relief, grief complicated by guilt or anger or unfinished business. Sometimes we grieve someone who we had a painful relationship with, and we feel guilty that we're not more sad, or we're sad in ways we don't understand because we thought we were done with that relationship, or we're angry at them for dying before we could reconcile, before things could be different. This is all valid. This is all part of grief. Grief isn't just about mourning perfect relationships. Sometimes we grieve what never was. We grieve the parent that never became the relationship we never had, the healing that won't happen now. That's real grief too. And sometimes we grieve things that aren't deaths. We grieve jobs we lost, relationships that ended, identities we outgrew, dreams that didn't come true, versions of ourselves we had to let go of. Our culture often doesn't recognize these losses as worthy of grief, but they are. If you loved it, you can grieve it. If it mattered, its absence leaves a hole. Unity teaches that life is eternal, and I believe that applies to more than just physical death. The love we shared with someone who's no longer in our life, that's eternal too. The lessons we learned from an experience that ended, those live on. The growth we experienced through something we lost, that's still part of this. But that doesn't mean we don't grieve the ending. Both are true. Love continues, and we miss what was. The lesson remains, and we're sad it's over. We've grown, and part of us might wish we could go back. I said earlier that every bit of pain I've experienced from losing my grandma is worth it for the love that we shared. I meant that, but I want to be clear. That doesn't minimize the pain. The pain is real. The pain is worth honoring. It's evidence of how much I loved her and how much she mattered, how deeply she affected my life. Grief is love with nowhere to go. When we love someone and they die, the love doesn't stop. It has to go somewhere, so it becomes grief, this aching, beautiful, terrible testament to how much we cared. If we never grieve, it might mean we never loved deeply enough to feel that kind of loss. And I wouldn't trade that love for anything, not even to avoid the grief. Here's what I learned about carrying grief. You don't get over it. You don't heal from it like a wound that closes. You grow around it. The grief stays the same size, but you grow bigger. You expand to hold both the grief and new joy. You learn to carry it, not as a burden, but as a reminder of love. Some days the grief is at front and center. Some days it's quiet background hum. Some days something reminds you and it's like the loss just happened yesterday. That's all okay. That's all normal. Grief doesn't follow a timeline or a trajectory. It comes in waves, and all we can do is learn to swim. Spiritual practices help with this, not by making our grief go away, but by giving us tools to be with it. Meditation teaches us to observe our feelings without being consumed by them. Prayer gives us someone to talk to when the pain is too much to hold alone. Affirmations remind us of truths that grief sometimes make us forget, that we are loved, that we are held, that we will survive this. But these practices don't bypass the pain. They hold us through it. There's a difference. I can affirm I'm strong and resilient while also crying my eyes out. I can meditate on divine presence while also feeling devastated. I can pray for peace while also being angry at God. Spiritual practices create space for all of us. One more thing I want to address. Sometimes people in spiritual communities feel pressure to grieve spiritually, to not be too sad, not be angry, not question their faith, to find the lesson quickly and move through it gracefully. That's not how grief works. Grief is messy. Grief is ugly sometimes. Grief can make us say things we don't mean and feel things we don't want to feel and question everything we thought we knew. And that's okay. That doesn't make you less spiritual. That makes you human. And being fully human is part of being spiritual. Again, Jesus was angry. Jesus wept. Jesus questioned. If the most spiritual being that existed experience a full range of human emotions, we're allowed to as well. So if you're grieving right now, if you want to know, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to find the lesson. You don't have to believe everything happens for a reason. You don't have to be grateful for what you learned. And you don't have to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. You can be sad. You can be angry. You can be confused. You can question everything. You can fall apart. You cannot know how you're going to make it through. All of this is allowed. All of this is part of the journey. All of that is held by divine love. For those of us who aren't currently grieving, but who want to support those who are, sit with them. Don't try to fix it. No platitudes, please. Just be there. Say, this sucks, and I'm here. Bring food. Show up months later when everyone else has moved on. Say their loved one's name. Make space for their tears, and don't be afraid of their pain. That's how we honor grief. Not by rushing through it or trying to spiritualize it away, but by making space for it, by recognizing that grief is the price we pay for love, and it's a price worth paying. All right, let's take this into meditation. Take some time now to create space for whatever grief you might be carrying. This is a meditation not to fix or remove grief, but to be with it gently, to let it speak, to honor what it has to tell us. So find a comfortable position, and if you'd like, allow your eyes to close or your gaze to soften. Take a deep breath in, and as you release it, let your body settle into this moment. You're safe here. Whatever you feel is okay. Take another breath, breathing in peace. And as you exhale, release any expectations of how you should feel or what this meditation should do. Just be here, exactly as you are. Imagine yourself in a peaceful, quiet space. This might be somewhere in nature or a cozy room or anywhere that feels safe and sacred to you. Notice what this space looks like. Notice how it feels to be here. This is your sanctuary, a place where you can be completely yourself. In this safe space, allow yourself to become aware of any grief you're carrying. You don't have to go looking for it. Just notice if it's there. It might be fresh grief, raw and new. It might be old grief you've been carrying for years. It might be a grief you didn't know you had. If grief appears, let it. Don't push it away. Don't try to manage it or make it smaller. Just acknowledge it. I see you. I feel you. You're here. Now gently ask this grief, what are you here to tell me? What do you need me to know? Just listen. Don't force an answer, but if something comes, a word, an image, a feeling, a knowing, receive it. Your grief is trying to communicate something. It might be you were loved. It might be they mattered. It might be it's okay to still hurt. Whatever it is, let yourself hear it. If tears come, let them come. Crying doesn't mean you're not spiritual. It means you loved. It means you're human. It means you're brave enough to feel. Now, if there's someone or something you're grieving, imagine them here with you in this safe space. Not to say goodbye again, but just to be in their presence for a moment. What would they want you to know? What would they say if they could speak to you now? Listen and receive and feel whatever comes. Now connect with your higher self, that part of you that is eternal and divine and always connected to Source. What does this wise, loving part of you want you to know about your grief, about this relationship or loss? You might hear something like, you're going to be okay, or it's okay not to be okay, or I've got you, or the love never ends, or maybe just a feeling of being held. Whatever comes, let it be. Take a moment now to just breathe in this safe, sacred space. Your grief is here. Your love is here. Your higher wisdom is here. Divine presence is here. All of it held together. All of it honored. Know that this space is always available to you. Whatever the grief feels too heavy to carry alone, you can come here. You can let yourself feel. You can let yourself cry. You can ask the grief what it wants to tell you. You're never alone in it. In a moment, we'll enter 1 minute of silence. During the silence, simply be in this safe space with whatever is present. Feel what you feel. Receive what wants to come. Let yourself be held. As we return from silence, take a deep breath. Feel yourself still held in this safe space. Know that you can return here whenever you need to. Your grief is valid. Your pain is real. Your love is eternal. All of it's true. All of it's held. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, carrying with you whatever this meditation offered. I want to leave you with this. Grief and spiritual truths are not opposites. They're partners. Spiritual truth does not erase pain. It holds us through it. Being heartbroken does not mean you're not spiritual. It means you're fully alive, fully human, fully present to the reality of love and loss. All is well at the deepest level, and you're heartbroken. Both are true. Both are honored here. Both are held in divine love. And so it is.